Hello, everybody. This is a presentation about the Tableau desktop. Um, Tableau desktop is a visualization software that we use to visualize data, create different graphs, charts. And in this the lecture, we want to go through different features of Tableau desktop. Tableau has different versions. One of them is Tableau Prep. Tableau Prep is for data preparation. We have a public version of Tableau for visualization, and we have a Tableau Desktop. Um, when we clean our data and prepare the data set, we can use a file hyper with hyper extension to directly open in Tableau desktop, or we can create a CSV file so that we can import in Tableau. But there are other ways that you can import data into Tableau desktop. You can import data from Excel file or CSV file, which is a text file, or JSON file, which is a kind of key value file, PDF file, and other types of file. Or you can connect to a database or server to import data to Tableau desktop. For example, if you have data in MySQL, um, Amazon, Databricks, those are the databases, and you can find more data sources. When you click on more, you can see that we can connect to different softwares like MongoDB or um, OneDrive, Oracle, and all these kind of data sources. For this demo, we want to connect it to an Excel file. Um, so to access the Excel file, I can click on Excel, and I have a data source named Superstore, and I open it. And when I connect to a data source, on the left hand side, you can see the sheets that I have um, in this Excel file. If I connect the data to, let's say, a CSV file, for example, the movie messy data set that we had, again, we can see the CSV file connected to the other CSV file that I imported here, right? Um, so you can add multiple data source and you can connect them to each other here as well. So like I said, for our lecture, we can use um, an Excel file, which is a superstore. The first thing that you should do is data exploration. Tableau says I have 3 sheets in my data source. Perhaps I don't need all of them, but let's have a look what we have. When we click on each data source, we can see we have orders here, we have people, and we have returns information, right? And I can drag this data source and drop here, and I can see the data inside of each sheet. For example, for orders, I drag and drop here. It's called orders, and here we can see top 1000 rows exist in the data source, right? And there are other things that you can do similar to Tableau Prep. You can change data type, you can sort the data, you can see the data source name. For example, here we have orders and we can see row ID, order ID, order date, and ship mode. You can explore the data, right? I assume that you have already created this data set and we want to explore in visualization, right? So to see how many fields I have, I can click on Manage Metadata, and Manage Metadata, I can see that I have row ID, order ID, uh, shipment information, country, city, and those kind of information we have. And this is the table that we imported. And this is the remote field name. Obviously, you can change the field name based on your interest, or you want to improve the readability of the field name, you can do that. And when you rename a field, that the new name is called alias. And as you can see, you can change even the data type when you find something wrong in the data. For example, um, order date, if it is in a string format, we can change it to date. Here it's in date, but simply by clicking this and change it to another data format or data type, then um, we can change the data type. So I want to just go back to the data format for order dates. And you can find sorting options. You can sort it ascendingly, descendingly, right? And there are other fields, other options like, for example, rename the field, copy values, hide aliases. So hide to hide this column in the visualization, you can copy the values, you can rename it here, or you can do some custom split. It doesn't have all the options that we had in Tableau Prep, but at least you have some options that you can split the column and create calculated fields or create group, right? Alternatively, you can select describe to see what's going on in this column, right? It says that this column is a kind of nominal column, categorical column, including for zone, central zone, east zone, or eastern zone, southern zone, and western zone, right? Only four values we have. But if I click on product ID and I want to see a description of this data set, it says that we have some records like this one. And there are other information about type, about the name, if it contains null or not. So all kind of information you can see here. You can um, click on show alias to show the new name that you do. You when you rename the column, you can see the alias as well. If you have hidden fields, you can see the hidden fields. We don't have any hidden fields here. Or you can change it to show a certain number of rows, for example, 30 rows. You can see the top 30 rows of this data, or you want to change it to 3000, you can do that. Obviously, when you change to the huge number, it takes more time to import the data. Our data set is not a huge data set, but any case, when you connect to a large data set, you should be able to see the data here. The more rows you enter here, right, the more time it takes to show the data. On top, you can see connection. It's a live connection or is a extract connection. If you have already created the extract version of this data set, you can click on that. Otherwise, if this data set is connected to a live source, you can see um, the new information on the fly. Like I said, if you have a large data set, it takes more time to visualize or to explore the records here. Okay, this is the data set, and this data set includes information about the customer orders in a store. I can see customer segment, I can see ship date, row ID, and other information that we can see. And other side, we can see sale, quantity, discount for each product, and subcategory of each product and category. And we have a product ID as well. When I double click on order, I can see this data set includes only one table, orders ID. Obviously, it was just a sheet, but we can see there is another sheet including information the people. I assume that we have a customer ID here. Where is customer ID here? And we have more information in people. Okay, so to bring another data source, we can drag and drop the second data source here. And as soon as I do that, I have other options like join. So if you have the same column name and type, Tableau Desktop identifies the common columns between two data sets. So when you click on this data source, you can see different options that we have for joining two tables. So when we want to join two tables, we should have a kind of common columns in both data source. On the left hand side, we can see order. On the right hand side, we can see people. And we have different kind of joins. Inner joins us bring the common rows of two tables. Left join brings the left hand side table along with the common rows. Right join brings the right hand side rows apart from the common rows, and we have full outer join that brings both tables, right, from both sides. So here I want to have an inner join, right? I just want to include the people information. So I don't have any other columns that I want to join. When I click here, I can see we have a person and region. So apparently we had different sheets for people and region and people and their purchase history, right? So when I go to the right side, I can see we have person and we have region. And as you can see here, inside of region, we have people. It means that this region coming from people dataset, right? And we should have another region that coming from orders dataset. And now you can see that the name of the data source was changed for person and region because it's coming from different data source, people, right? And this is the second thing. So we have joined two data sets. Now we want to move on the third data set, which is returns. So I drag and drop here in the returns. And when I click on here, it says that I automatically join these two data source based on order ID. Tableau says that I found an order ID in both tables, so I automatically join it. Is it correct or not? Then you can go through the columns and find the appropriate, for example, column. Just check it to see that if it's okay or not. Otherwise, you can see an error here saying that I couldn't join returns to orders. Do you have any idea that how I can join these two data sources? Then you can click on that and you can choose the right columns to join two tables. Okay, why do we need to do that? Because we need to have all these data sources in one place, right? Apart from person and region that we can see they are coming from people data sources, we can see their return information coming from returns and order ID coming from returns. And order ID here coming from returns table, that's why it is in parentheses, right? So in this way, we have a data set including all the information about the order ID, order date, ship date information, and region, along with if this product has been returned or not. So this is the first thing that you should do in terms of joining different data sources. If you have different data sources with exact same columns and you want to do union, you can again drag and drop, and you can drag the table under the table that you want to do the union, right? As you can see, it says drag table to union, and you can do that easily here. Otherwise, you should drag the field or drag the table in front of the data source that you want, and it automatically join two tables. If you can't join two tables or there is an error here, it means that you didn't join the tables properly. So you should select the columns that are common in two tables. Okay, I would like to change it, change this data source, Superstore dataset. And now I have that. It says that we have a same data source named Superstore in the system, Superstore dataset. And now I have a dataset, everything ready for visualization. Please mute your microphone. Thank you. Um, so now we want to move forward with sheets. Okay, we want to create some visualization. Before that, we had some questions that we designed a set of questions that we want to ask. We have, let's say, product information, category, their subcategory, and we want to ask some questions from this data set. Okay, the first question that we ask is what is the category and subcategory of products, right? Based on amount of sales, because we have amount of sale and we have quantity and we have discount and we have profit, right? So based on these um, metrics, let's say, we can create visualization. So let's explore the dataset to answer our first question. There are some icons here in the bottom, sheet one, and we can add more sheets. Um, these are called worksheets. These are where we visualize our data, design our graphs, and then um, we can insert our visualization into dashboard, and finally we can create a story about that. So we start with sheets, and when we click sheets, we can see the data source that we imported before here. I want to just concentrate on the data source that we have, which is um, Superstore dataset. So on top, right? And there are some analytics that you can um, see here based on the data and the fields that you have. You can draw some analytics automatically. On top, you can see some icons, for example, to add another data source, another table. We can use that. You can pause your data source for auto update. If you have a live source, you can save your notebook, Tableau file with TWBX to store it, right? So I save it, I call it, let's say, and I store it as TWBX. Difference between these two is when you save as TWBX, it automatically attaches the data source to your Tableau file, right? And so I call it Superstore, right? And I save it. So for your group projects, you can use TWBX, okay? And I save it, and we can see the other new worksheets and icons on top based on the work that you want to do for visualization. Some of them are active, some of them are inactive. On right hand side, you can see an important feature saying show me, right? When you click on show me, it automatically suggests some of the visualization based on the reports that you want to see. And on top, you can see a menu here to just create a new file, save as, import new file, create new sheets. And we don't want to go through all this menu. But the important part is we can see on left hand side tables that we have, orders, people, and returns, three data sources that we had. And here we can see some derived column and metrics columns. So what's metrics and what are dimensions? Um, to answer this question, we can say that our data, basically in data visualization, is categorized into two categories. They are dimensions, which includes information about categories or nominal values, and we have some calculations, for example, discount, profit, quantity, sales, and these are the metrics. Those metrics are the fields that we want to do some calculations on it, like, for example, sum, count, average, those kind of things. But obviously, you cannot do uh, calculations like summation of category, average of category, and those kind of things. Those are called nominal or dimensions. So you should be able to distinguish between um, nominal and dimensions, um, and metrics fields that we have, right? So as you can see, we categorize them, or actually Tableau categorize them into tables, and here we can see the metrics as well. And you can see that there is another difference between dimension and metrics. Metrics is shown by a sharp sign, and it is green. But here we can see some nominal values. We can see the sharp sign, but this field is dimensions, right? So there's a difference between the type of the fields that we can see on the left hand side. Um, we can filter the data that we have. We can search for a specific field here. For example, ship date or something like that. And after that, we can see view data. For example, for a specific city, I want to see the view data. And depending the number of the values that we have, we can see all this view data information, and you can restrict the number of rows to the rows you want to see, right? So it shows alias here as well. You can export this data to the file that you want to see. This is for field and metrics. On right hand side, you can see an environment that you can design your graph. In the middle, you can see some marks. So you can mark the fields based on color. You can design the fields based on size and the text, or you want to see the detailed information of each category, you can drag and drop the fields here. And when you have some data, um, you can drag and drop fields on tooltip so that when you mouse over on the bar chart, for example, a pie chart, you can see more information about tooltip here as well. In filter, you can apply conditions on your data. In pages, you can define parameters, um, and I will mention how you can design a parameter, and you can drag and drop your columns here in columns and rows, and you can create some visualization here. So you can change the visualization name here, and there are other design notes that you should pay attention. Let's have the report. We were looking for categories. So where's the category? Categories here. Drag and drop into columns that we have. It will be our columns, and I want to see the summation of the sales per category. So I drag and drop category to columns and uh, some of the sales here. When I drag a metric to the rows, it automatically converts or applies the aggregation function as sum. You can change it afterwards. But that's correct because we were looking for summation of sale per category. So now I can play with this graph. It's a bar graph. It automatically creates a bar graph for me. And I can see the category furniture, office supplies, and technology, and we can see the sales. For example, $72,000 for technology, and 48,000 for office supplies, and 59,000 for furniture. And we can see that the y-axis is correct based on K because those numbers were huge, so it's recognized as 1000, and it's the name of the y-axis, and we can um, we can uh, type a name for this graph. For example, sales by product, let's say category. And after that, we can work on this kind of title as well, change the colors, for example, make it justify on top, and this is the category. So this is one of the visualization that I can create. On right hand side though, you have options to change it, right? It says that, okay, that's my bar chart recommendation, but you can change it, and there are some recommendations. But before going through recommendation, I want to show you how we can change it horizontally or vertically. Here you can see that we can swap the rows and columns, and you can see that we can work on resizing the columns here as well, and we can sort it, that's ascending, descending, for example, for showing the ranks. We can show horizontal bar chart. We can say technology is on top, the first, and we have furniture and office supplies. Okay, now we can go back to show me, and I want to choose other visualization, for example, heat map. So in heat map, when we can use heat map when we have more data, let's say more numbers in a table. So that's the best options. And we have only three categories and three numbers. Perhaps pie chart or bar chart is best to visualize this kind of report, right? Um, Even you can show the box plot to show the range of sales, perhaps um, per category, right? And or you can use bubble chart to visualize the amount of sales. Okay, so let's go back to our bar chart visualization, and we design it to show the category in bars. Another thing that we have subcategory as well. So to apply subcategory to category, again, I drag and drop here, and here you can see we have a category and subcategory, and in each category we can see the visualization. One of the things that we can do is to convert it to horizontal. I mean, based on the furniture, we can see that which one had more sales. So this is one of the things that you can do, but avoid designing a graph with a scroll. On the right hand side, see that the user has to scroll to find the, well, what's the category or subcategory that had more sales. For that case, perhaps we can use heat maps to visualize um, the maximum number. As you can see, we can see the numbers based on, let's say, subcategories, and here based on colors. And we can see here phones, 27,000 is more than um, others, followed by chairs, 25,000, and we have other numbers like 19,000 with copiers, right? Um, Again, you can use tree maps, right, to see that what's the large amount of sales per category, or you can have different visualization for this case. Another things that you can do is using a stacked bar chart. But when you use a stacked bar chart, don't forget that you should have a kind of you should differentiate between the categories, and that's a kind of category that we have for each subcategory that we have for each category. That's not the best option because, like I said, when you want to create um, visualization with colors, you should highlight what should be highlighted, not having all this visualization in one bar chart. So this is one of the things that we can do. And one of the cool things regarding Tableau is with Control Z in Windows and Command Z in Mac, you can go back to previous visualization, right? This is one of the things that you can do if you do some mistakes or you want to visualize the previous graph, you can do that. So to to change this metric, let's assume that we have all this information in different categories. To change the metrics to another thing, for example, here sales by product category, but we have another metrics name count or quantity, right? We want to see the quantity of the data. So for that case, we can drag and drop quantity to here, right? And in that case, we can see sales and quantity close to each other. We can remove, for example, this field here, or we can filter them, or we can change the type. Let me remove sales. I just want to see the quantity, and I can see the quantity here, number of subcategories, right? And this is one of the things that you can do by drag and drop. And again, there are other options when you have the fields. For example, you can filter the summation, you can change the format, you can change the measure, for example, average quantity based on subcategories, maximum, minimum, right? And let's assume that a manager wants us to show the sales based on category and subcategory, but only for West region. Okay, so to answer to that question, I can drag and drop sales here, remove quantity, and this is for all regions, but I just need for let's say West region, right? So I'm going to use one of this region. Yes, we have here, drag and drop into filters because I want to apply conditions. As soon as I drag and drop the field into filters, we can see a window. In this window, um, we can select the data or the condition that we have in mind, right? And based on the data type, if it's, for example, numbers, if it's categories, perhaps you see different windows. But here I can easily select West, right? And then apply, and then I can see the difference, right? Another thing is you can select more than one, right? I can select all, right? Default is select all, right? Or I can deselect all the options, or I can exclude a specific. For example, I want to say exclude this three. It's equal to select just West, right? Or if you have many categorical values, you just need to type, for example, West. and you can see West here, for example. Here I have only four categories, so it doesn't have meaning to search. Another thing is you can have a custom value list, or you can use all. Um, we have a wildcard. For example, if you have a string value and you want to find all the values that have specific character inside of that, you can use match values. For example, all the region that has S uh, inside of that, right? It should just select those ones, for example, east or south and west, these kind of things. We will see more examples regarding this. But basically, you can filter the fields based on contains, start with, end with, and exactly match. Another thing is you can have conditions. Instead of selecting west, I want to select the top, let's say, sale, or those ones that have some sale greater than let's say 5,000, right? So I'm saying that, okay, total sale should be greater than 5,000, right? And then we can see the results, right? Or by formula, we can write a formula here. Another thing is you can select top. I'm just interested on uh, top 10 subcategories based on sale, so I can do that easily, right? For now, my manager asked just for West, so I just deselect, just select the West region, apply that, and I can see, okay, um, the number is here, right? So, and this is one of the things that you can do. Otherwise, if we want to compare different regions, then we can use colors, right? So I remove this region and I want to compare different regions to one another. So let me just make this visualization a little bit clear in terms of we want to see different subcategories based on region. So the thing that I want to do is I want to drag and drop the region to colors. What it does is it recognize different regions, right, automatically. So I would like to do some, let's say, design on it. So again, it's a colorful. I have a legend. That's not a problem. But I can see that, okay, um, what's this region is based on the colors that we have. We have um, central, blue, east, orange, and we have south, um, red. What about west? Is green. So yeah, this is my visualization. But my manager asked me to highlight the west region, right? To do that, I can change the colors and highlight what we want. In data visualization class, I learned that I should highlight what should be highlighted actually. So, and I should put the category that I want to compare in the bottom and make the other categories as gray so that I can recognize that specific category. So I am not interested on central. Click on central, and when you click on the central, you should be able to see um, the colors. So for central, I am interested in gray. Let's assume that we have a gray and I have central gray, east, another gray, right, and south, dark gray, and finally west. I'm interested in west in blue, right, and I want to highlight it, and um, I can have this kind of visualization. I can change the color as well. So it shows that, okay, we have the total number of sale per region. So perhaps I can make it a little bit darker blue so that I can recognize with other gray color, right? And for example, this color. And in this way, and make the, for example, the other um, category, this one a little bit lighter so that we can recognize, let's say, west. Okay, this is the visualization that I have, and I can compare that. Okay, in West, for example, copier has more than the others, and we have here East, and for others, for example, Central does not have any copier, right? And we have chairs, for example, in West that had more sales. At the same time, my manager asks, can I add the quantity to this analysis? We have sale, and I want to see quantity on Tooltip, right? Tooltip. Let's see if we can do that. Where is quantity? Quantity is here. I want to do on Tooltip, right? Sum of quantity on Tooltip, right? As soon as I drag and drop here, when I mouse over on that, I can see the quantity as well along with sales, right? Um, the other things that we can do, the manager says, that's good, okay, well, we can see something here, but I don't see the amount on the bars. Can you highlight the amount of sales on this visualization? I can say, okay, you want to see label, that's not a problem. I can drag and drop sales onto labels, and I can see the labels, right? And um, when I click on label, I can see show mark labels on the text, and I can change the even fonts to different colors, alignment, or just I want to see the labels for some options, right? For example, for min max, highlighted or selected, right? So for to do that, I can see that when I click on that, I can see based on selected, they can be I can see the labels. Okay, um, but if we want to visualize for all the values that we have, we can do that. If we want to show just for min and max, we can visualize that for those ones that I want, and I can change, like I said, um, the visualization. For example, I can make it vertical, I can make it in the middle, and it can be wrapped. And I can change the font, I guess. Here it's a 12, bold, for example, and I can show that what's going on there. Okay, so the maximum three values that we have is 15,000, right? So in this way, using these marks, I can create, let's say, the visualization. So I want to just save this visualization based on the category, all right? And I can duplicate this visualization so that I can create another category based on region, okay? And I want to change this visualization. I can go to the um, show me, and I can change it to other visualization if you want to show them. This is another visualization that we can see um, based on heat map and colors and numbers. So when I see this table, directly I go to this column. What's this column? Technology, West, Copier. So the good things about heat map is it shows the maximum number or highlighted um, numbers using, let's say, you using colors, right? Another thing is, let's say this one, technology West phones. And I can see based on region, we have different numbers, right? And again, I can create another visualization based on the report that I have. Okay, so this is one based on category, but I have some data information as well ship mode, ship date, or it's better to create a visualization by order date. Where is order date? Here. Okay, so I create another visualization, orders by date. Um, so to create a kind of time series or line graph, I drag and drop to order date, and I want to see the sum of sales based on the year, right? So this is just by year. I automatically, when I drag and drop the order date here, I can see that it shows year here. So I can change it to based on quarter, based on month, based on week, or based on day, right? So if I want to convert this based on year, it automatically shows the whole period based on a year, and I can see that the numbers looks correct. If I want to change it to different views, I can change it with different views so that I can see the numbers based on the values that I have, based on the standard date, or um, I can change based on different values. Let's change it based on quarter. This is based on the quarter, the amount of sale over the time, and I can see that on over the time from 2014 to 2017, we can see a growth in sale in 2017 quarter three, or I can change based on month, right? And I can see that, for example, in 2017 March, we had 17,000 sale, right? And this is a kind of a line graph, and again we can highlight the values, for example, by showing labels. Always show this value, for example, in top, right? And I can change it as well. So this is a kind of time series for dates, right? And if I want to show based on region, I can drag and drop region on colors, right? And we can see different colors here and different regions. We can change again the color to visualize them based on different categories, because here it makes sense perhaps um, to visualize different regions with different colors. Again, we can click on that and we can change the color as well. We can change the type, um, and we can add more values again on tooltip, and or we can show them based on product category, right? So if I drag and drop category here, we can see based on category we have furniture, office supplies, and technology. Again, we can work with the colors, and we can see that there's a drop in technology somehow, but here in technology in March 2017, uh, we had high value of sale in March 2017. Okay, this is another visualization. We can work on it further. The last visualization that I want to show you is based on geographical location. For example, city and country. We can drag and drop based on city and number of sales per city, right? And then when we click on show me, we can switch to a map, and based on map, we can see the different values, right? It's a point map, but we can use symbol map or point map for each visualization. And here we can see we have some of failing on colors. I would like to see some of sales based on size, and it shows the some of the visualization in let's say size. It's not visible, perhaps we should highlight the top um, sales further so that, for example, with some zoom in and zoom out to see what's going on each values, right, based on the quantity and different colors in categories, right? Again, I can drag and drop category to colors to see which type of category or to which type of product had high sales in visualization, and we can select based on size to show all the size that we have and to show the based on a value that we want to see. Okay, for example, if I want to show the highlight values, we can see that, for example, what's this furniture in Springfield, and we can see total number of sales 1000, and we can see British Columbia. We can see other sales, other informations, right? We can do the same based on regions and based on subcategory as well. And let's assume that we create this by region and we call it map um, by sale. And then in the when we create our visualization, we can create a dashboard, right? The first dashboard that I want to create is, for example, based on subcategory and category, right? And I can visualize it. Again, I can use a kind of time series here. We can work on the visualization to make it more clear based on something that we learned in data visualization. And this is one of the dashboard that we can create. Again, we can create another dashboard including map, and at the same time, we can show the heat map on top to see the, for example, visualization side by side. Um, there are other options in Tableau that you can connect the different visualization based on controls. When we change it, for example, based on sale and quantity, you can change them accordingly. When you change, for example, the region, both visualization will change. Okay. And finally, when you create your visualization based on different dashboards, we can create a story, right? The first story, and this is the second story, and you can change this uh, top navigator based on dots, arrows, or based on caption. So here you can write sale by category. Here you can write sale based on region and those kind of things, right? And you can then visualize it as a story, right? And change the type here as well. Okay, this is the first part of the Tableau uh, desktop. Um, let me start